Welcome to the BLBSN. Welcome to the place where we talk about sports and things that I find interesting. And today, we're going to have a special episode focus on sports. You guessed it. Specifically, pay gap versus skill gap in top professional leagues and leagues underneath the top professional, whether it be AAA in baseball, could be the Canadian Football League in American football, it could be whatever it is. Talk about how much athletes are paid and also how good those athletes are. All right. Thanks for joining. So this all started because I like baseball. You might like baseball, you might not, but it's okay. My wife and I made it to a AAA professional game last weekend. We saw the Indianapolis Indians. What? Best team ever? Not really. But we saw them play some other team. I think it was the Cubs. Yeah, it was the Iowa Cubs. That's right. And so the players that we were watching, right, were in our seats watching random players you've never heard of. But what tipped us off, though, we did see a major leaguer. We saw a gentleman wearing particularly colorful shoes, and we said, this guy's got to be a professional. Turns out we were watching O'Neal Cruz play, a player for the Pirates. I think he's an outfielder who was sent down to the Indians on a injury or rehab stint, a rehab assignment. So yeah, we got to see him play. It was great. But something that I think is very interesting in sports and that we got to see Sunday was minor league baseball, an example of something that I just find very interesting. All right, so when we are watching a minor league team, right, when you, viewer, are watching anybody in, let's say, your local soccer team that is not Chelsea, that is not Manchester United, that is not the top team, right? How good are those players, right? Now, I'm not going to talk about the random teams, I'm not going to talk about single A baseball. I'm not going to talk about the Indy 11 soccer team, which who knows what tier they are. But I'm going to talk about what my wife and I saw Sunday, a AAA team, right? So I'm going to use that as an example. I'm going to start right off with this. What are AAA baseball players paid, and how good are they compared to Major League Baseball? So we're going to start off with that example. So Major League Baseball players this year, the average major leaguer baseball player, their average salary is $5.34 million. Cha-ching, get paid. It's a lot of money, more money than I have. How much is the average minor league baseball player paid? This is from payscale.com. We have $57,500 per year, average base salary. All right, that works out to, you guessed it, about 1%. So minor league baseball players, AAA, are making about 1% of the money that a major league baseball players are getting paid. All right, so get paid a lot more, right? But you might think, hey, the major league players are getting paid a lot more. They must be tens, and if not hundreds of times as good as the AAA baseball players, right? It's got to be that, right? All right. Now, skill can be very difficult to quantify, right? How good an athlete is not only his physical performance, his statistics, but also how good he is under pressure, how much value he adds to the team as a whole. I think you always have to, or always should, factor in how much attention a particular athlete brings to an organization. If you are a team, you are a business, you want to sell jerseys, you want to sell hot dogs, and a more popular player will probably attract more attention, sell more memorabilia, sell more concessions. It's a thing. So this is not the end-all be-all, but let's look at some statistics. So in regards to, keep in mind, right? So AAA baseball players, right? They're paid a whopping 1%, right? So this is some data from the 2023 season. I think it has some 2022 season. This is 8 ways to appreciate the gap between the majors and the minors from MLB.com. This is a couple years old at this point, March of 2024. But here are some statistics on particular metrics in Major League, the top tier versus AAA. All right, so four-seam/sinker velocity. So this is a type of pitch and how fast it goes, right? So this is averaging. So Major League Baseball, it averaged 93.7 miles per hour in the MLB. It's pretty fast. It's faster than I've ever thrown a ball. All right, so these Major League Baseball players, right, they're getting paid $5 million a year. All right, so are the AAA players, all right, so you're thinking like, all right, Major League Baseball player, maybe you're thinking, all right, if they're pitching that, maybe a AAA player throws 60 miles an hour, 70. They're getting paid 1%. 1% of what a Major League Baseball player is getting paid. And let's see, what is the average velocity for a four-seamer or sinker pitch in AAA? So Major League Baseball is 93.7. AAA, drum roll, the AAA is 92.7 miles per hour. Literally 1 mile an hour slower. Now, that is a mile an hour. That does add up. As I've heard it said, if you are a cop and you're looking at a car and you say 9 miles an hour over the speed limit, 9, you're fine. 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, 10, you're mine. So, if it's like, all right, the policeman's going to pull you over at 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, but not 9 miles an hour. 1 mile an hour can make quite a difference. I digress. Anyway, does that justify getting paid 1% of the salary that the Major League Baseball player is getting paid? All right, let's go on here. Maybe there's other metrics here. All right, let's see. Now, okay, so rate of those particular pitches that go 95 miles an hour or faster in the major leaguers are 32%, so nearly a third of the pitches are 95 mile an hour or faster. AAA is 19%, only about a fifth go 95 mile an hour or faster. Okay, all right, cool, all right. Let's see, what else do we have here? So there's curveballs, and so curveball, you want a break on the ball. You want it to start in a particular position and then change positions by an amount of space. So induced vertical break curveball. So this is how much a difference there was between where the ball starts and it ends in curveballs in the major leagues. So major league was 9.6 inches. Nearly 10 inches. AAA is at 4 inch. Is it what do we got here? AAA is 8.2 inches. It is 1 and 1/4 or 1 and 1.4, I should say, inches off the major league equivalent. Okay, seems pretty close to me. All right, let's see what else we have. Let's see. So rate of sliders that have a 12-inch break, 12 or more inch break. Major League, 26%. AAA, 25%. What's better than 24? You guessed it. All right, let's see what else we have here. So Major League hitters, do they hit harder? So this is hard hit rates, a particular metric. Major League Baseball, the batters have a hard hit rate or had a hard hit rate of 39%. AAA, maybe it's like, 5%? Come on, they pay 1% of the major leaguers. And they had a 36% hard hit rate. Pretty close, in my humble opinion. Average home run distance, Major League Baseball, 400 feet. And AAA, 396 feet. All right. It's a fun little statistic here. So AAA, right? They are hitting, you could say 99% as far as you could say the Major League Baseball home run distance drops off by 1% from Major League to Triple League, and yet those in the AAA leagues are making literally 1% of the money that Major League Baseball players are making. Very interesting. All right. That is most of it here on the old StatCast, or I should say MLB.com. I think they may have gotten some information from StatCast. So, what's my point? My point here, the pay gap in professional sports is much higher than skill gap relative to the leagues. You're in competitive soccer, you're watching a soccer match. Never think that just because you're at a stadium and the crowd is exponentially smaller, never think that because you never hear of a team that they are full of a bunch of losers who don't know how to play the sport. Professional sports are filled with athletes who are making pennies compared to the top level of their sport, and yet are nearly as good, and who on their best days can be as good as any other athlete in their discipline. I think it's so fascinating going to tennis tournaments in the past. I've been to one of the biggest in the U.S., in Ohio, and it draws crowds, is a spectacle, beautiful facilities, and I'm watching the best players in the world, Roger Federer, the best players, Novak Djokovic, and yeah, don't get me wrong, they're amazing. I go to a tournament in Illinois around that same time period when I was watching a lot more professional tennis. Go to a tournament in Illinois, and there's a crowd of, 4 people, maybe, and no fanfare. It was at the University of Illinois, and I'm watching players who are 95th in the world, who are 114th in the world, who are 140th in the world. And these guys can play. They are hitting it near as hard as any top professional and playing at an elite level. In one instance I'm thinking of, I saw a player, Tennis Sandgren. His name is literally Tennis. How's that? He also played tennis at the University of Tennessee. It doesn't get any better than that. You can't make this stuff up. I watched him play, I believe it was Jack Sock, an American who was, I believe, pretty highly ranked at the time. Anyway, so Tennis Sandgren, I don't believe was any higher ranked than 200th in the world. Better than I'll ever be. But watching him play, he destroyed Sock. He destroyed his opponent, picked him to pieces, and I thought to myself, wow, this guy's really good. Turns out, I think it was a couple years after that, he rose up to a top 100 player, had a really good run in the Australian Open. And it made sense to me. I could think of other stories in tennis that I've seen, rising players who, definitely, you can tell by watching them, are on a particular astronomical trajectory. So, all that's to say, have fun. Guys out there, girls, all you people, go watch some AAA baseball. Go check out your nearest tennis tournament that features a top 100 player. Check out something like that. Go have some fun. You could discover the next player of the future. They might not have any fanfare now, but they are on the cusp of a breakthrough. Every person you see at these tournaments, they're on the cusp of a breakthrough, and you could be the one to see them. You could be the one to see them. And then in a few years following, you can say, I remember, as you were on your cane with your gums without any teeth left, you could lean over your cane and say, I remember when I saw Jimmy Butler. I tried to make up a name, but actually that's a professional player. I remember when I saw Jimmy Smith. He's probably also a professional. All right, guys, have some fun. Food for thought. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe. Catch you guys around. Peace.